In this video, you will learn 9 principles that make you scarily smart through 3 radically different minds: Machiavelli, Carl Jung, Friedrich Nietzsche. We begin with Machiavelli, the man who stripped morality from power and studied people as they actually are, not as we wish them to be. You'll become smart, not book smart, not academic smart, but the kind of intelligence that makes people hesitate, that makes them lower their voice, that makes them think twice before testing you. This is not about being evil. This is about understanding reality as it is, not as you were taught to believe it should be. Machiavelli understood something 5 centuries ago that still makes people uncomfortable today. Power does not belong to the most moral, it belongs to the most aware. Let's begin. Principle 1. Never be fully readable. The moment people think they understand you completely, your value drops. Predictability feels safe, but safety breeds disrespect. Machiavelli warned that men judge more with their eyes than with their hands. Meaning, people don't respect truth, they respect appearance. When you explain yourself too much, when you reveal your motivations, when you narrate your emotions, you hand others a map of your mind. And minds that can be mapped can be controlled. Scarily smart people don't lie, they withhold. They let others guess, they let others misinterpret, and they never rush to correct the narrative. What is hidden creates tension, tension creates caution, caution creates power. Principle 2. Silence is a psychological weapon. Most people fear silence because it exposes them. That's exactly why you should master it. When someone provokes you and you respond immediately, you've accepted their frame. When you stay silent, you force them into yours. Silence makes people uncomfortable, and discomfort makes people reveal themselves. Machiavelli understood this instinctively. Those who speak less are assumed to think more. Silence turns reactions inward. It makes the other person question themselves instead of attacking you. That hesitation, that moment of doubt, is where control begins. Principle 3. Stop explaining your decisions. Explanation is not clarity. Most of the time, explanation is submission disguised as politeness. Every time you justify a choice, you signal that your authority is negotiable, that your decision needs approval, that it can be challenged. Powerful minds decide and let reality adjust. Machiavelli wrote that a ruler must appear decisive even when unsure, because uncertainty invites opposition. Scarily smart people don't argue their choices, they let consequences speak. If someone doesn't accept your decision, that's information, not a problem to solve. Principle 4. Be strategically inconsistent. Consistency is comforting, and comfort is dangerous. When people know exactly how you'll react, they plan around you. They learn which lines they can cross and which they can't. Machiavelli advised adapting behavior with the times, but the deeper lesson is this: never allow yourself to become a pattern. Sometimes you're warm, sometimes you're distant, sometimes you tolerate behavior, sometimes you end it instantly, not emotionally, strategically. The goal is not chaos. The goal is uncertainty. Uncertainty keeps people alert. Alert people behave carefully. Principle 5. Do not seek to be liked. Seek to be respected. Being liked feels good. Being respected changes behavior. Machiavelli was brutally honest about this. Men are quicker to offend someone who is kind than someone who is feared. Fear doesn't mean terror. It means consequence awareness. Scarily smart people are pleasant, but not safe to disrespect. They don't raise their voice, they don't threaten, they simply remove access, and people understand very quickly. Principle 6. Control access to you. Unlimited access destroys value. This applies to time, attention, emotional availability. When people know you're always there, they stop qualifying themselves. Machiavelli understood scarcity intuitively. What can be lost is protected. Scarily smart people do not announce boundaries, they enforce them silently. Responses slow down, availability decreases, Energy is withdrawn, no explanations, no speeches. Behavior adjusts, or people disappear. Both outcomes are useful. Principle 7. Emotional control is intellectual superiority. Losing control is never strength, it's information leakage. Anger reveals triggers, defensiveness reveals insecurity, overreaction reveals leverage points. Machiavelli believed a ruler must master his inner state before commanding others, because emotion makes you predictable. Scarily smart people feel deeply, but display selectively. They do not suppress emotion, they schedule it, and in public they remain unreadable. Principle 8. Let others expose themselves. Most people talk too much when nervous, and most people become nervous around silence, restraint, and calm observation. Scarily smart people ask fewer questions and listen more. They don't interrupt mistakes, they let people overextend. Machiavelli knew that enemies often defeat themselves if given enough space. When someone reveals entitlement, insecurity, or hostility, you don't confront it immediately, you remember it. Memory is power. Principle 9. Accept that you will be misunderstood. This is the final barrier. The moment you stop needing to be understood, you become free. Free from justification, free from guilt, free from manipulation. Machiavelli accepted that power always attracts criticism, and that moral outrage is often just disguised envy or fear. Scarily smart people don't correct false assumptions unless it benefits them. They don't chase reputation, they shape outcomes. If people misunderstand you but treat you carefully, you're doing it right. These principles won't make you popular, they won't make you comfortable, but they will make you mentally untouchable. Machiavelli was never teaching cruelty, he was teaching clarity, and clarity is what makes intelligence frightening. Next is Carl Jung. Where Machiavelli looked outward, Jung looked inward. This is not about power over others, this is about power over yourself. Because Jung understood something deeply unsettling, the most dangerous forces in your life are not outside you, they live inside your own mind. Let's begin. Principle 1. Your shadow is smarter than you think. Jung believed that every person carries a shadow, the parts of themselves they refuse to acknowledge: aggression, selfishness, envy, cruelty, desire for control. You don't destroy these traits by ignoring them, you empower them. What you deny doesn't disappear, it waits, and it acts without your permission. Scarily smart people don't pretend to be good, they become aware. They study their shadow before it studies them. Principle 2. Moral identity is a psychological trap. Most people build their identity around being good, kind, nice, harmless. Jung warned that this creates imbalance. When you identify too strongly with virtue, your shadow grows stronger and more unconscious. The person who says, "I would never do that," is the person most likely to do it when pressure is applied. Scarily smart people drop moral illusions. They don't ask, "Am I good?" They ask, "What am I capable of?" That question alone changes everything. Principle 3. Projection reveals. More than perception. According to Jung, what irritates you in others is often what you've disowned in yourself. The traits you hate, the behaviors you judge, the arrogance you despise. That's not observation, that's projection. Scarily smart people don't rush to condemn. They analyze, they ask, "Why does this bother me? What part of me recognizes this?" Every strong emotional reaction is a diagnostic tool, if you're intelligent enough to use it. Principle 4. Self-knowledge is psychological dominance. Most people believe knowledge is external, information, books, concepts. Jung believed the opposite. The person who understands their own motivations, fears, and contradictions cannot be easily manipulated. Why? Because manipulation works through blind spots. Scarily smart people know where their blind spots are, and they guard them. You cannot control a mind that already sees itself clearly. Principle 5. The persona is a mask, not the self. Jung introduced the idea of the persona, the identity you show the world, your role, your image, your social mask. The danger begins when you believe the mask is who you are. When that happens, criticism feels like annihilation, disrespect feels existential, rejection feels unbearable. Scarily smart people use the persona, they don't live inside it. They can remove it at will, and that makes them psychologically untouchable. Principle 6. Emotional control. Is integration, not suppression. Suppressing emotion doesn't make you strong, it makes you fragile. Jung didn't teach emotional denial, he taught integration. Scarily smart people feel everything, but they don't let emotion hijack behavior. They observe their anger, their fear, their desire, and they decide after awareness, not before. This is why they appear calm under pressure, not because they feel less, but because they understand more. Principle 7. The unconscious always wins. If ignored, you can believe you're rational, logical, in control. Jung would disagree. Your unconscious makes decisions long before your conscious mind justifies them. Ignored impulses don't disappear, they leak through sarcasm, self-sabotage, passive aggression, obsession. Scarily smart people don't fight the unconscious. They listen to it, they translate it, they integrate it, and by doing so, they remove its ability to ambush them. Principle 8. Individuation requires loneliness. Jung believed that becoming whole requires separating from collective thinking. The herd offers comfort, but it demands conformity. Scarily smart people accept something most avoid. Loneliness is the cost of psychological independence. They stop outsourcing values, they stop copying identities, they stop needing permission to think. This doesn't make them antisocial, it makes them sovereign. Principle 9. Wholeness is more dangerous than virtue. This is Jung's most unsettling idea. A whole person is not harmless. They are balanced. They contain kindness and aggression, compassion and boundaries, empathy and refusal. Scarily smart people are not pure. They are integrated. And that makes them unpredictable, grounded, and hard to control, because nothing inside them needs to rebel anymore. Jung didn't teach dominance over others. He taught mastery over the self, and that kind of intelligence is frightening because it cannot be exploited, shamed, or easily manipulated. If you integrate your shadow, no one else can weaponize it against you. That is what makes you scarily smart. Finally, Friedrich Nietzsche, not to explain people, but to destroy illusions. About weakness, morality, and why most minds are not built for freedom. Being smart, this is not self-help. This is not inspiration. This is not meant to make you feel good. Nietzsche never wrote for comfort. He wrote for those who could survive clarity. If you are looking for reassurance, this is not for you. Let's begin. Principle 1. Truth exists to test strength, not to comfort. Nietzsche believed most people don't want truth. They want relief. They want ideas that protect their identity, justify their weakness, and allow them to remain unchanged. Truth, in Nietzsche's sense, is a stress test. If an idea breaks you, it was too heavy for your mind. Scarily smart people don't ask, is this kind? Or is this socially acceptable? They ask one thing only, does this increase my capacity to endure reality? If it doesn't, no matter how moral it sounds, it is discarded. Principle 2. Morality is not sacred, it is strategic. Nietzsche shattered the illusion of universal morality. He saw moral systems as tools, created, shaped, and enforced by specific types of people. Slave morality praises humility, obedience, and sacrifice not because they are noble, but because they neutralize strength. Scarily smart people do not blindly accept moral language. They dissect it. They ask, who benefits if I obey this rule? Who gains power if I feel guilty? Most moral pressure is not about virtue, it is about control. Understanding that is already a form of power. Principle 3. Resentment. Disguises itself as virtue. Nietzsche called this ressentiment. When people cannot act, they judge. When they cannot rise, they redefine height as arrogance. Weakness becomes goodness. Passivity becomes moral superiority. Failure becomes depth. Scarily smart people recognize resentment instantly. They don't argue with it. They don't try to convert it. They simply refuse to live by its values. Because resentment doesn't seek truth, it seeks revenge on reality. Principle 4. The will to power is self-expansion, not cruelty. Nietzsche's most misunderstood idea. The will to power is not domination of others. It is the refusal to stagnate, growth, self-mastery, expansion of capacity. Pain is not evil in this framework, it is data. Scarily smart people do not ask, how do I avoid discomfort? They ask, what is this resistance teaching me about my limits? And then they push. Principle 5. Pity preserves weakness. Nietzsche distrusted pity deeply. Not because compassion is wrong, but because pity often freezes people in their lowest state. It turns suffering into identity. It turns weakness into entitlement. Scarily smart people do not romanticize suffering. They don't build their identity around wounds. They transform pain into strength, or they discard it. They understand, what you reward, you multiply. Principle 6. Identity is a cage. Nietzsche warned against fixed identities. The moment you say, this is who I am, you stop becoming. Scarily smart people treat identity as provisional. They allow old versions of themselves to die. They do not protect ego. They do not cling to labels. Every outdated identity is a silent prison. Self-overcoming requires destruction, not of others, but of former selves. Principle 7. The herd fears ambiguity. The herd needs clear rules, clear villains, clear moral binaries. Nietzsche saw this as intellectual cowardice. Scarily smart people tolerate contradiction. They can hold opposing ideas without collapsing into certainty. They think beyond good and evil, not because they are immoral, but because they are precise. Ambiguity is not weakness, it is mental depth. Principle 8. Loneliness is the cost of mental sovereignty. Nietzsche accepted solitude as inevitable. Most people would rather belong than think independently. Scarily smart people endure isolation without begging for validation. They accept that mental independence creates distance. They don't chase approval. They don't soften truths to remain welcome. They would rather be alone than be owned. Principle 9. Create values or live as an echo. Nietzsche's final demand. If you inherit values without examination, you are not intelligent, you are obedient. Scarily smart people author their own standards. They decide what strength means, what dignity requires, what a worthy life costs, and they accept the consequences. Freedom is expensive, but obedience costs your soul. Closing, Nietzsche did not promise happiness. He promised intensity. He did not offer peace. He offered transformation. And transformation is violent, not toward others, but toward illusions. If you can survive that violence, you don't just become intelligent, you become scarily smart. What you've just seen is not philosophy, it's a map. 3 thinkers, 3 angles, 1 uncomfortable truth. Machiavelli showed how power works between people. Jung revealed how power operates inside the mind. Nietzsche exposed what power demands from the individual. Together, they dismantle the same illusion that intelligence is about being right, moral, or liked. It isn't. Machiavelli taught that people don't respond to goodness, they respond to perception, consequence, and uncertainty. Be predictable, and you become manageable. Be fully transparent, and you become controllable. Power begins where explanation ends. Jung went deeper. He showed that the greatest threat to your intelligence is not ignorance. It's the parts of yourself you refuse to see. The shadow you deny doesn't disappear. It operates unconsciously. It sabotages projects and controls you from the dark. Real intelligence begins when you integrate what you'd rather ignore. Nietzsche took the final step. He asked the question most people avoid: are your values chosen or inherited? He showed that much of morality is not truth, but resentment dressed as virtue. A system designed to restrain strength, ambition, and becoming. To Nietzsche, intelligence without self-overcoming is useless. Knowing means nothing if it doesn't change how you live, decide, and endure. Across all three, the pattern is clear. Scarily smart people are not harmless. They are controlled, integrated, unapologetically aware. They don't seek approval. They don't outsource values. They don't hide behind morality to avoid responsibility. They accept loneliness as the cost of independence. They accept discomfort as the price of growth. And they accept misunderstanding as the tax on power. This kind of intelligence doesn't make you popular, it makes you untouchable. Because once you see the games, outside you, inside you, and within your own beliefs, you can no longer be easily manipulated. That is what makes it frightening. Not the knowledge itself, but what it allows you to stop tolerating.